Good morning, everyone. John again. It's been a while since I've done a video with someone. Obviously, it's been a tough year for everyone, and obviously with social distancing rules in place, it's perfectly fine here because this is a wonderful lady I've been working very closely with for the best part of 2 years. We're coming live today from Fat Chef's Cafe in Keilor East. I've got Josie Gangemi here. Josie is a tax debt negotiator. Josie, you want to say hi, introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Josie Gangemi. I'm from Tax Debt Solutions Australia.
Josie, tell us a little bit about what you do.
So essentially I specialise in negotiating tax debt for anyone that has tax debt. So they come to me when they have a tax debt and I have a look at it, I break it down, let them know how much I can reduce it by, and then put them into a long-term payment arrangement if that's what they'd like me to do. Or I work closely with brokers who can sometimes organise finance to pay out the balance of the debt after I've reduced it.
Now, what is a tax debt?
Well, a tax debt is money that has not been paid to the ATO. It is money that should have been put aside for GST, PAYG, or income tax. And that obviously, once it's not paid to the ATO, becomes a debt that sits on the ATO system.
And generally, how long do the ATO let it sit there before they start asking you for money?
Well, it's difficult to tell. Sometimes they're onto it straight away, and sometimes it can take a while. They have a lot of tax debt to get through.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself, Josie. I know you've worked at the ATO yourself, so you've got a bit of insider secret. So do share with our viewers today a little bit more about what you did and what makes you an awesome person to work with. Yeah, a specialist. Yeah.
So I have worked at the ATO, worked at the ATO in Winnie Ponds, and it was a wonderful time. I learnt a lot during that period of time. I was one of those officers that back then would issue director penalty notices and statutory demands and garnish sheets. So through that experience, I suppose I learnt a lot of what really happens at the ATO. And also the culture of the ATO and what is important to an ATO officer. So that's essentially what I do, and I'm a specialist in negotiating ATO with those ATO officers. So that's essentially what a specialist negotiator does with the ATO.
So what generally happens on an ordinary day for you? Let's just say you've got someone owing you, and I've got text that John recommended me to you. I never knew you existed. Right. Who are you? Okay. Why should I use you?
Yeah, well, the first thing I do is I talk about where I come from, my experience, what I can do. Why should you use me? Well, it would be, I think, very important to use a negotiator. If you want the best result on your tax debt, you would use a specialist. I always tell people this is how I see it. If I want tiling done in my kitchen, I'm not going to get a handyman, I'm going to get a tiler. I want the best job done, right? So if you want the best job done on your tax debt, you get a negotiator, and someone preferably that's worked at the ATO.
Now, a lot of people whom I come across as well, and a lot of my clients are small business owners, and thankfully, a lot of them are on top of their tax debts, or they pay it off every quarter. Some of them don't, and when they come to me and I say I might have a solution for you, a tax debt negotiator might be able to negotiate something for debt. Most of them are shocked. So they don't know that there are options like what you offer, the services that you offer. So when you say we are negotiating tax debt, what are we looking at here? So I know there's different components of tax debt. There's
sure.
There's
interest on a tax debt. There's the primary debt. Then there's interest that's imposed by the ATO, and there's penalties. There could be penalties, not always, but there could be penalties. So often we put in applications for remission of those penalties and the interest. Our applications are tailored to those specific cases. They're very individual. And they're very comprehensive. So often people aren't aware that that's a possibility. Not all tax agents will do that for them because they simply just want them to pay their debt.
Yes.
So this is a way of helping your finances by reducing the debt, or whoever has a tax debt, by reducing their debt and helping them keep as much money for them as possible.
So you're saying accountants are possibly one big avenue there who are seeing their own clients with tax debt, but they don't actually know that there might be options for their own clients.
I think they know, all accountants will know that they can do this. Not all accountants have the time to do this though. This is very specialised, and I know my tax agent, he just did my tax return, and it took me 2 months to wait for him to do this because he's just so busy doing everyone else's returns. So, financials doing, so he was busy, and I get that. I would never get him to do my negotiation if I had tax debt. I'd want a specialist to do it.
So let's just say obviously without knowing the background, and we've got, say, someone with an 80 grand tax debt. Is that a lot of money? Is that a big tax debt?
No.
No? Oh, that's the most I've seen. Jeez. Without going too much into detail, what's the largest you've seen, and how can someone get into that amount of tax debt?
Look, there's a lot of reasons why you could get into a lot of tax debt. I've seen a lot of tax debt, very high, millions of tax debt.
What?
But we're talking huge companies with a lot of employees, a large scale. And there are many reasons why you can get into tax debt. It can simply be a supplier, one of your biggest suppliers, has gone into liquidation, and you've lost all the money that they owe you. So that puts such a strain on your business that you start to use money you've put aside for tax to continue to run the business. And that's important because you've got employees that are relying on you to keep your business operational so that they can feed their families. So,
I know how that feels because we both run our own businesses, logging on to internet banking every day. And then and obviously without going into detail, because you've got your own methods. What are some of the easiest ways someone with a tax debt can what are some of the options that they can potentially
to avoid tax debt?
Yes, and if they come to you, what are some of the easiest ways they can get the debts negotiated? I mean, what's your process?
So,
that's just two questions there, but
in order to avoid the tax debt, obviously the best way is to put money aside every time you're paid. So you might want to do it weekly, daily, monthly, whatever suits your business. But putting 40% aside of whatever you make will always make sure that you've got money aside when it comes time to pay your tax.
Why 40%?
40% for me is the magic number because 30% is generally the tax component on the income, and then 40% is GST.
10%.
10% is the GST.
You're testing me.
Obviously, yeah. And then obviously, the little bit you get super in there as well. You can pay super with that money as well. So 40% is a good number.
That's a scary amount of money. That's almost half your turnover coming in.
It is.
And then you're just disappearing to pay the tax. Yeah.
However, when you put that aside, and you're not always using that, and sometimes you can be left with an amount in there that allows you to go on a holiday, but at least you've got that aside, and you're not looking at potential debt at the end of that.
Now, speaking about potential debt, you talked about penalties as well, and I mean I hear a lot of noise. I mean, obviously I know the figures, but for the viewers,
yes.
What's the ATO interest, the penalty debts? I mean, the interest
is
rate
approximately around about the 10%.
Annually?
Annually, it compounds daily. And the penalties can vary. They can be 500, and we're talking failure to lodge penalties. So they can vary from $500, $180, $1,000.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
All right, I want to keep the video short as well.
Okay.
9 minutes we've already hit 9 minutes, and we said we'll keep it under 10.
It's good.
Now, so Josie, tell us, for viewers out there, and obviously I'll be plugging, giving you a plug in my comments below. Tell us, how can viewers or anyone with small businesses or anyone who knows anyone who's got a tax debt find you?
Well, my website is TDSAU, or you can put taxdebtsolutionsaustralia.com.au. You can call me. I never remember my number.
I'll put it in the bottom.
We'll put it in the bottom.
And you're on
It's a
Facebook.
1300 number. I'm on Facebook under Tax Debt Solutions Australia, or my LinkedIn under Josie Gangemi.
Lovely. And any final words there before Christmas?
Well, enjoy your Christmas, stay safe, and I'll see you in 2021.
And hopefully this will be the last video you see for the end of the year. But John Ng and Josie Gangemi here, signing off from Kilo East. Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye.